In this video, we will be taking a look at the bend deformer. The bend deformer is used to bend objects in Cinema 4D. When you come to the Objects palette, you will see the deformers here. The bend deformer is the default deformer. When you click and hold, it will reveal all the deformers you can create in Cinema 4D. Let's create a cube. Let's make the height, which is the y-axis, 300. Let's make the x-axis, which is the x side, 20, and same for the z side, 20. Now we have this. Okay, let's create segments, also subdivisions. Segments is also called the subdivisions in Cinema 4D. In order to bend an object smoothly, you need more segments. Okay, so when we come to the Attribute Manager under the Object tab, you see the segment. We have the X segment, we have the Y segment, and we have the Z segment. We need to create divisions or segments in the height, so we add it in the Y axis. So when you add it, it will be creating divisions. By default, you won't see the lines as you add the segment. In order to show the lines, we have to come here, the window on our perspective view, this menu, and click on Display and select the second one, which is the Gerard shading lines. When we select that, you see that now we see the segments. These are the segments. Let's add a few more again. So I'll add 20. Yes, and I'll add 2 to the X and then 2 to the Z to have this segments. Okay, now let's add the bend deformer and see how it bends this object. So you go here, you click to add the bend deformer. In Cinema 4D, if you want to use a deformer on an object, the deformer has to be a child of that object. So let's drag the deformer into the cube object. Now the bend deformer is a child of the cube. Now we need to change the size of the deformer to fit our object. So when you come to the Attribute Manager under the Object tab, there's a button called Fit to Parent. Because the bend deformer is a child of the cube, when you click the Fit to Parent, the size of the deformer will fit to the cube. So we click the Fit to Parent. You see now the deformer has fit to the size of the cube. Okay. Now when we come down here, we have the strength. This is where you can bend the object. Okay. So that is how the deformer works in Cinema 4D. Now there's angles you can change in order to bend the object to that angle. So let's say I want to bend my object to a 45 degrees angle. Let me enter 45 here, 45 degrees angle. Now my object is being bent towards a 45 degrees angle. Okay. Good. Now if you want to bend multiple objects at the same time, there's a way to do it. Let's duplicate the cube by dragging it, holding Control on your keyboard and dragging it down to create a duplicate of it. Or another way to do that is selecting the cube and dragging it inside your viewport. So if you hold Control and drag any of the axis to move it, it will duplicate the cube. So if I move it right now, you see it's duplicating the cube. I'll duplicate it one more time. Now we have 3 cubes. Each of them has the bend deformer also duplicated. Now let's delete all these bend deformers and let's leave only one, and then also pull it out of the cube so that it's not a child of the cube anymore. Now if you want to deform all this cube at the same time, we need to group the cube inside the null object. So let's create a null object, select all the cubes and put it inside the null object. Now, in order to deform all these cubes inside this null object, we have to put the deformer also inside the null object, like this. Right now, the bend deformer is also inside the null object. It's grouped with the objects. So now, if I bend, you see that it's bending all the objects inside the group. So that is how you can use the deformer to affect multiple objects. That covers it for the bend deformer. See you in the next video.